Kia ora, greetings and good afternoon from Jerry Collins Stadium for today's Colts Division 1 final for the John E. Memorial Cup between Hutt Old Boys Marist and Tawa. And it's a pleasure to introduce Ethan Loveridge to you, who'll be joining me for today's commentary. And while Ethan is just doing a little technical, we say, alterations.
Bit of DIY.
Bit of DIY on the fly, as we do. And in fact, we've just witnessed the Hardham Cup final, which is just wrapped up and been won by Wainui Omata in a tight battle over Parimata Plimerton. Yes, that was actually the second of the 6 grand finals that we've had today. But the Hardham Cup will be stowed away in the club rooms of Wainui Omata, winning comprehensively. But a late comeback from Parimata Plimerton saw them close the gap, up their 4th title in the Hardham Cup. And now we turn our attention to the Colts Division 1 final in the John E. Memorial Cup, as Hutt Old Boys Marist, who have been unbeaten this season, take on Tawa, who have managed to make their way into this final, beating much fancied opposition in the last couple of weeks. Ethan, now we've got the DIY job all done, as I said, I'd love to introduce to you Ethan Loveridge. He's going to be joining us for today's commentary. And Ethan, the rugby gods have turned it on today. What a fantastic day and what fantastic weather we have here at Porirua Park, Jerry Collins Stadium.
Well, have they what, Lee? It's been an awesome day so far. And we know that the Colts grade and the players love to throw the ball around. They're very good at expressing themselves. Of course, this Hutt Old Boys Marist team, undefeated all year, being the strongest team in the comp, have one more game to go for their undefeated season in Tawa, who finished 8th on the table, have found their form at the right time of the season, earning themselves a spot as we are about to get this game underway.
Yeah, well said there, Ethan. We can expect plenty of energy as the midfield back, Afa Masanga, gets play underway, and he's maybe underestimated the strength of that breeze that we witnessed in the Hardham Cup final. It's certainly picking up in intensity, and that's gone out on the full, so not the start that Tawa wanted. And Hutt Old Boys Marist will have the opportunity of a scrum right on halfway to get themselves underway in this match.
Of course, the wind blowing left to right on your screens. Tawa perhaps just misjudging that early on. And a wonderful opportunity for the Hutt Old Boys Marist Colts to get themselves in this game early as Ethan Jefferson, the referee, sets up our first scrum.
Yep, Trent Brown with the ball, halfback today for Hutt Old Boys Marist. Yeah, what a season it's been for Hutt Old Boys Marist. 13-0 they went through, winning the, well, comprehensively winning the Paris Memorial Trophy before qualifying in #1 spot and earning the bye in round 1 here of the John E. Memorial Cup. And then cleaned up Orient Orangatai last week, Ethan, 56 points to 7 at home.
I think they won that first round comp with a week to spare as well. That's how dominant they were, as there is a free kick against Hutt Old Boys Marist for an early push.
Yep, Ethan Jefferson, our referee today, who has 2 assistant referees, Ollie Mitchie and Quinton Renner, will be running the sideline.
Yep, Ethan Jefferson making his premier debut at Ngāti Tawa Domain. Paraplim against Wellington earlier this season in the Swindale Shield. Just reward for his efforts this year, aptly assisted by Premier Referee Ollie Mickey and Quinton Renner, who's just been promoted to level 2. So Tawa electing for the scrum. They now have a really good attacking opportunity to start this game.
Randall Painga, he's just been showing us his basketball skills there, spinning the rugby ball. He's been waiting to feed the scrum. And Ethan Jefferson, our referee, certainly getting involved in this match early, as once again he blows that up. We'll have another reset of the scrum here on halfway.
Probably just seeing these two teams just a little bit passionate, maybe a little bit on edge.
Nervous energy,
and that's maybe what we're seeing these resets for. Just need that stability, as it certainly looks much more stable there. And a good platform for the Tawa halfback to get that ball in.
A good push by Hutt Old Boys Marist. It comes back for Tawa now, straight on to the toe. Fullback Uta puts a little kick in, but that's been well picked up by the left winger of Thielen Rona, and he's racing away down the sideline. He's going to go in. He's in the corner. That's a try. It looked as though he may have got a foot in touch. But no, the assistant referee's running around behind the post. That's a try, Ethan.
Yeah, Ollie Mickey happy he stayed in touch there. And a wonderful run by Phelan Rona. And Tawa doing all the hard work, winning that free kick at the scrum. I can't help but think maybe kicking the ball away so early proved costly.
Yeah, it was a good scrum there for Tawa. We were struggling to get a scrum set there. It was on the 4th attempt. And the fullback for Tawa, who hit the back line nicely, Samanoa Uta, put a little chip kick through in it, and Phelan Rona picked it up just on his side of halfway, and he showed his gas. We just mentioned about the energy. Obviously, this is the Premier 1 Colts final. Plenty of youth and energy and enthusiasm, and that was blistering speed down the sideline with the conversion attempt now. First 5 junior Lales Seal. The conversion attempt just inside the sideline here, Ethan.
And that's a hard kick first up, and it's, well, he tried to curve it back actually, but didn't quite have the legs. And if Tawa are going to keep doing that, well, Hutt Old Boys Marist showing early on how dangerous they can be and why they've been so dominant in this competition so far. They have the first 5-pointer within 4 minutes of this game.
5 points to 0. Looks as though the score clock may have it the wrong way round. I'm sure, though, Ethan, it is 5 points to 0 to Hutt Old Boys Marist.
Certainly is.
Just on 4 minutes played as another attempted kick-off by the midfield back, Afa Masanga. That's been well taken. Hutt Old Boys Marist now, but the ball's come back and it's loose and it's almost been snaffled by the midfield back.
I think there were 2 knock or forward pass there. And it's called by referee Jefferson. So we'll set another scrum.
Both teams feeling each other out here.
Yeah, they're just trying to figure each other out.
Yeah, certainly some nerves here from Tawa. They've done well. As you said, they finished 8th in the Paris Memorial. And they were up in round 1 of the John E. Memorial Cup. They were up against the second-seeded Petone side. And away from home, they beat them 26-17. And then last week, they were up against the third-seeded side of Old Boys University and travelled to the Polo Ground for a 10-8 win. So they've certainly lifted their game and they've hit a rich vein of form, and that's a nice run from the back of the scrum, and now they'll work their way into it. There's another good run in the forwards there. Sorfara makes his way up towards the 22. Met by a wall of tacklers from Hutt Old Boys Marist, but it looks as though we've got the arm out there that could be playing advantage, but it's ball is now back with Fahaita for Tawa, looking for runners out wide. As it's nice cut back in from the number 8, Val Lekor. He's just gone over the 22, keeping the ball alive.
Here.
This could be a try opportunity.
Oh, that's, I think they're just going to take their time, the referees. We're going back for the penalty. It was for a sternum tackle. Old Boys Marist defence just creeping up in their height. And, well, Tawa really exploiting the Hutt Old Boys Marist defence on that occasion, and very nearly came up trumps.
Yeah, Ethan Jefferson getting the call from his assistant referee.
It's Ollie Mickey on the grandstand side this half. And they will plug the corner. And we go, oh, it's not out.
Disappointed with that. A little show and go.
And Rona taking his time to get that ball down towards halfway.
Iuta now returns it with interest. The fullback for Tawa up towards the 30-metre line. As Tawa now settle it down with the forwards, looking to work themselves into this game, but that's been knocked on and the ball is now back on the side of Hutt Old Boys Marist. And a good little quick cool kick put through by Randall Painga, trying to catch the Tawa defence out. And it's been taken by Tawa, but they're pedalling backwards and it's been knocked on, Ethan. So Hutt Old Boys Marist will have an attacking opportunity with the scrum.
They will. That was a good kick chase. And they put the Tawa team under pressure. And of course that was, they forced the knock on right in front of the Hutt Old Boys Marist dugout. Just to add sting into the wound.
There's some good vision there by Trent Brown. Turning those Tawa forwards around. There was vacant territory.
Yep, a little bit of space in behind, and I'm sure they'll look to exploit that as this game goes on. Tawa back 3 have all the work to do.
So Hutt Old Boys Marist now with a good attacking opportunity on the 10-metre line in Tawa territory as they feed the back line now, and the gap's starting to open up, but unfortunately, first 5, Lea Lascelles has just knocked the ball on.
Yeah.
Good elusive runner there, Ethan. He certainly provided the gap there, the show and go, holding the ball out in 2 hands.
He had support on the outside.
Did have the runners.
Probably could have given that pass a little bit earlier. Just see some of the Hutt Old Boys Marist players just saying to the boys, just calm down. Let's take our time. We're in the right part of the field. As is quite often common in Colts rugby, they can get a little bit over-eager at times.
As we can in our youth,
we can.
Yeah, Ethan.
And that's what finals footy can do to you. Pressure can sometimes get to players.
Well, it might have been a long time that youth was for me. Yeah, I do recall those days, though. But that's a nice clearing kick, and that's what you want to do in finals footy. It's about playing percentage footy and territory.
Looks like there was a penalty at scrum.
Come back for the infringement and
front
Tawa.
row. Hutt Old Boys Marist front row angling in.
Beautiful weather here in Porirua. The weather gods have certainly turned it on for grand finals day here in Wellington Club Rugby, Jerry Collins Stadium, in the first of the Colts Division 2 final, which is all wound up on the number 2 ground. Northern United took out the spoils over Parimata Plimerton. And of course here in the main ground, Jerry Collins Stadium, we've just watched Wainuiomata win their successful 4th Hardham Cup, beating Parimata Plimerton in that Hardham Cup final. What a match it was. But
it was a great match. It was a bit of a shame for the Parramatta Plimerton club, losing 2 finals right next to each other, but that happens.
They're certainly here in numbers, as are the fans from Tawa and Hutt Old Boys Marist. And from the line-out, Hutt Old Boys Marist have stolen one off the throw, and it's back with first 5. Alele Sioal puts an up and under, but just shows the strength of that breeze, Ethan, as it's held up. But they still have possession on their 10-metre line.
And there's a penalty for not rolling away.
You do notice something different from the Premier to the, I guess, Colts matches. You will hear a lot more of the whistle blowing. There'll be a lot more P involved in the match. And I guess that's tends to be with youth, that exuberance, and maybe still getting their head around some of these rule changes as well.
Yep, it's always something to keep an eye on. And it will be the challenge for referee Jefferson today to be able to manage that.
5 points to 0. Hutt Old Boys with the early try to Thielen Rona.
They go short, Hutt Old Boys. And there was a knock on in the tackle. Well, first little trick move we've seen. They go to the front of the line out and they try to exploit the blind side, but the Tawa hooker was able to disrupt that enough to force the scrum.
These 2 front rows will certainly know each other well after this match. So we must be up to our 10th scrum. 11 minutes played in the Colts Division 1 final for the John E. Kelly Memorial Cup. Hutt Old Boys Marist, early 5 points to 0 lead.
Of course, there's a good chance that as these players grow and develop, I'm sure they'll probably be playing Premier Rugby against each other in a few years' time.
Yes, the scrum is fed now, and it's now back out to the strong running midfield of Junior Polo, who, as you've just touched on, has actually played for Hutt Old Boys Marist Premier this year, scored a double. In the McBain Shield, as Tawa now have the ball. They've really got to treasure the ball here. There's been plenty of knock-ons at the start of this match. As Tawa now have their opportunity on their 10-metre line. As they fire it back to first 5, Daniel Baker, who gives out a good nudge using the strong breeze behind him.
Got Rona.
And Rona now with open space looks to free himself up. He's certainly got blistering speed down this touchline, sideline as he sets play up now. Midway 22 and try line for Hutt Old Boys Marist. Nice continuity of play between forwards and backs. It looks as though offside might have been the call.
It certainly was. The Tawa back line just getting a little over-eager, and straight away, Hutt Boys Marist went straight to the post, as it is about 15 metres out. Well, we've seen Daniel Rona on the left wing for Hutt Boys Marist. Well, if I was there, halfback in first five, I'd be trying to get the ball out to him as much as possible. Certainly exploited space early on, and he's got a good turn of foot too.
Yes, he's very elusive. As you said, there seems to be acres of space out here on the grandstand touchline. This is a very kickable penalty opportunity here. Great opportunity to stretch the lead out a bit further. And the flags are raised. So after an earlier conversion miss, a bit of a miss kick, Junior Lales Sioal. Successful penalty attempt, 8 points to 0. 14 minutes played here in the Premier 1, the Colts Division 1 final, the John E. Memorial Cup. In fact, Tawa been well represented here this afternoon, 6 grand finals in total. Yes, they'll be well represented in the next set of matches as well. Not only the Jubilee Cup final, but the Premier 2 Division 1 final. It's
a credit to their club and their systems in place and their management and coaching. Yeah, and we've got a run here.
Fullback, Dom Ernest, who's full of beans, and he finds
his open side flanker,
Sam Morgan, outside of him.
Wow.
From the kickoff. That was the slick move there from Dom Ernest. He found himself with acres of space, and he's returned it with interest. He's taken it back up over halfway, and right on the 22 found support with blindside flanker, who managed to keep up with him, Sam Morgan, who's gone over for the second try for Hutt Boys Marist.
Well, yeah, out of nowhere, Dom Ernst found the space, and Tawa just falling off their tackles, and it was a really good flanker's try that by Sam Morgan. He was in support of the ball carrier, and he beat off a couple of defenders to score in the corner. And well, now we're seeing this game just open up ever so slightly in favour of Hutt Boys Marist.
Dom Ernest, yes, a product of St Bernard's College, of course, first 15 player. And you can certainly see why they have gone through unbeaten this season. 13 from 13. Earlier this season, Hutt Boys Marist to win the Paris Memorial Trophy. And then, of course, beating Oriental Rongotai last week in the semi-final, 56 points to 7.
Well, just short.
Version attempt, yeah, holds up. Just shows you how strong that breeze is.
Now it's obviously picked up a little bit since the Hardham Cup kicked off.
The flags around the venues. Good numbers on hand for this final.
Yep.
In fact, there's also on the number 2 ground, we have the Premier 2 Division 2 final also being played concurrently. Oriental Rongotai taking on the Upper Hutt Rams. So it's a festival of rugby here at Porirua Park. 6 grand finals in total. 13-0. Hutt Boys leading Tawa in the John E. Kelly Colts Division 1 final. And they've let that ball bounce, Hutt Boys Marist, but they've taken it down cleanly. Just up over the 22 now as they look to set play up. Tawa really need to set their defensive line. Hutt Boys Marist are finding plenty of gaps and acres of space, but that's a turnover. Tawa now have their hands on the ball. They really need to be next point scorers or even try scorers in this match to stay in touch with the Eagles. It's now with Tawa midway between the 10-metre and 22-metre line in Hutt Boys Marist territory.
This is good from Tawa. They're building their phases slowly, but more importantly, they're hanging on to the ball, and they've got space on the blind side.
Good little kick put through from Nawa Kawatabu, and it looked as though he was going to get the kick and regather, but some good defence by Pahi Mateo, the right winger for Hutt Boys Marist.
And they've done enough to get the line out to Tawa.
Good vision there by Floyd Nawakatabu for Tawa. They've certainly got an excellent scoring opportunity here with the line out making inroads into the 22 of Hutt Boys Marist.
Yep, their best opportunity of the game thus far. They're going to need to make it count. And it's a messy line out.
They've over jumped it. timing
balking,
not quite there.
actually, so it's a free kick to Hutt Old Boys Marist. The hooker was balking. He didn't throw the ball in one throw. So Hutt Old Boys Marist making the most of that free kick inside the 22. They were allowed to kick it out on the full. And they relieve their pressure for the meantime.
Touch finder as well by first five. Ela Siuao. That's down to halfway. And that was into the strong breeze as well. It's a good touch finder.
Very good touch finder.
So another opportunity for the line out to get it right here for Tawa. Now they've found their jumpers nice and clean off the top of the line out. We're right in front of us of our commentary position as Tawa now up into the territory of Hutt Old Boys Marist. Coming back slowly for halfback Painga. So he may have been caught there. No, but still with Tawa on their side. Back with first five. Daniel Blake standing on halfway. He decides to show and go and takes on the defensive line of Hutt Old Boys Marist. And a nice little inside step as Tawa now make further inroads into Hutt Old Boys Marist territory. And they've got a little bit of space out wide on the sideline, but held up in the tackle, and they'll be able to get to ground and freed the ball up, delivered it nicely back with Tawa. Good continuity of phases here as it's now found its way into Ulingia Arsini, the prop. Charges forward, who only knows one way. The halfback is kept once again and scragged in a tackle, but he's managed to pop the pass, so still making vital metres as Tawa inching towards the 22-metre line, and another good run by Joseph Ulingi Arsini sets play up for the midfield back, Afasanga for Tawa, who's made a strong tackle, 3 tackles, but he's able to wrestle himself to the ground. It's good play for Tawa, their best period of play. There's some good face continuity, Ethan.
Yeah, it sure is. They're actually stretching the Hutt Old Boys Marist defence, and Hutt Old Boys are just leaving a few holes and gaps in the pillars as we see Tawa keeping the ball alive and trying to get the offload away, but not to be on that occasion. It was a forward pass. Probably didn't need to do that. They've shown Tawa in these last few minutes that, well, if you hang on to the ball, you can put Hutt Old Boys Marist under pressure, which is what they were doing there. So
it's about playing the percentages. It's about choosing the right options. You know, you can always get that rush of blood, whether or not it's youth or premier. It's finals footy, everything to play for. The season on the line, regardless if you win or lose, there's no tomorrow. Sometimes it can create that rush of blood, but that was certainly a good period of play. Tawa will be happy with that.
They will be. And they're still down the right end of the field as well. They can get a decent platform, but Hutt Old Boys Marist looking to run from their own 22.
Ball finds its way out to the speedster once again. We're in the number 11.
He shows and goes.
Wow. That's class, Ethan. That is all class. Try number 2 for number 11, Fila Norona on the left wing.
Wow. That was an individual try of some brilliance. Of course, it still had to be set up by the Tawa backline. Most teams probably would have looked to clear that, but they backed themselves. And Fila Norona with his second try of the day. Finding the space, putting the step on.
He certainly is every time he's had the ball, isn't he?
He's looked dangerous.
He's elusive, yeah. He's got great vision. He's got speed. He's got a fantastic body swerve as well. And I'm not even sure if any of the defenders touched him.
No, I don't know if they did in the end. He was that slick.
Third try this afternoon for Tawa, out to an 18-0 lead. It's almost a point a minute here at Jerry Collins Stadium in the John E. Kelly Colts Division 1 final.
Yeah, they'll be disappointed with that Tawa, and I'm sure in their team talk behind the goal line as the conversion is successful, they'll just be saying, look, we looked really good with ball in hand, and let's look to keep it that way.
A successful conversion attempt by Lele Siuao. It is to go with an earlier successful penalty. 20-0 after 22.5 minutes here at Jerry Collins Stadium. Hutt Old Boys Marist out to an early lead. Tawa, well, they really need to get points on the board.
They do. Hutt Old Boys Marist have really made the most of their chances early on, and that's what matters in finals footy.
Tawa do have the use of the strong breeze as well at their back, so they're going to have to turn into that in the second half. But that's been well taken from the restart.
It was a good kick chase, unfortunately, just slipping up above the sternum height there.
Leaving penalty for Hutt Old Boys Marist. Keep themselves back over halfway.
Yeah, not a big touch finder on that occasion, but a touch finder all the same. Can't help but think, with Hutt Old Boys Marist, not with the wind in this half, they've still managed to score 20 points. And what are they going to be able to do with the wind in the second half?
Exactly. Tawa, get back into this, but off this line out, it's loose, but it's managed. Levi Morgan picked up the scraps. Ball still with Hutt Old Boys Marist as Brown looks for his run as he decides to go to the blind side, keeping it in the forwards and easily making their way up over the halfway line as they set the back line out now. But we've got forwards in amongst that back line, and they only know one way, Ethan, and it's straight up the guts as they've gone now as the ball is back with a back line that's running nice and deep. Ooh. One pass would have had Phelan Rona with his hands on the ball again. But making good inroads now up on the 10-metre line. It looks like we're playing under advantage. Referee Ethan Jefferson has his hand out.
I think he got the call from his assistant on that occasion. We'll see what it's for if we come back to it, and we do. High tackle on that occasion. And Hutt Old Boys Marist, every phase, they managed to break the gain line, and that's what makes them so dangerous. This Tawa defence just struggling to put pressure on them at the moment.
You're right. The defensive are struggling, I feel, with their formation in the defence, as you've touched on. They're making it look easy, Hutt Old Boys Marist, and
they
back
sure
line
are.
there, aren't they?
Yeah, that's what makes them so dangerous.
And with the speedsters that they have, not only Phelan Rona, certainly Dom Ernest as well, which has been evident in the try that he set up for Sam Morgan. Could be a tough afternoon for Tawa.
Not straight was the line out on that occasion, so an opportunity goes missing for Hutt Old Boys Marist. And Tawa will have a scrum, 15 out on their own 22.
Certainly no excuses in terms of the conditions here this afternoon. Really been treated to glorious winter weather.
And we have, I remember this time on this day 12 months ago at the Hutt Rec, it was cold and wet and miserable.
It was windy.
And I AR'd a final. I can't remember, I think it might have been the Ed Cheney final in gloves and a beanie.
Was it wet, wild and windy from memory, Ethan?
And
absolutely.
Got a lot of stick for that from my refereeing mates.
In fact, the rain was parallel, so if you didn't see anything, that's why you had bullets hitting you. But back here, they've managed to clear it from the scrum, and a little dinky little kick put through, in fact, from Daniel Baker. One would have thought you'd be using that strength of that breeze behind you.
They got lucky on that occasion. Hutt Old Boys Marist, not sure who it was, but came in the side. And, well, Tawa lucky on that occasion. It's dangerous kicking the ball away like that in your own half.
You want to play the percentages, certainly.
And they're going to go for the scrum, despite the wind at their back. The scrum's been solid enough, so they obviously have a pre-planned idea of what they want to do.
20 points to 0. 3 tries for Hutt Old Boys Marist. 2 tries to Phelan Rona. A try to Sam Morgan, while Junior Lele Sioal successful penalty and a conversion for the 20 points for Hutt Old Boys Marist. Tawa, well, they've had a couple of scoring opportunities. Ball just going to hand. Points to 0. 7 minutes played in the first half. These two teams, Ethan, met back in round 6 in the Paris Memorial Trophy. Hutt Old Boys Marist too strong that day. Taking out the encounter, 43 points to 24. So,
nice scoring game, that one.
Nice scoring game. So Tawa certainly know how to get across the try line when they've come up against Hutt Old Boys Marist, but they've really got to maybe look at their tactics, that game plan. But now they've got ball in hand, they've made some space.
And a kick chase is on here.
Up opportunity, bounce of the ball.
That'll be a goal line dropout. Wow.
Favours Hutt Old Boys Marist. Got some good enterprising play, Ethan.
Sure was. The scrum option looked to be a good one on that occasion, and, well, they have looked dangerous down that left wing side. That time, they found the space, and they will get the ball back courtesy of a goal line dropout. So it worked.
Maybe someone was listening to us.
Yep.
They've used the strength of that breeze.
And they've still got it now.
And they've still got the ball. It's back out to the hooker. Evan Painga as he set sail for the try line. And Tawa looked as though they might have been in there. Players in support. The ball's gone to ground. And now Hutt Old Boys Marist straight on attack. Just inside their 22.
And they've got the ball back too. Have Tawa. Bit like a ping pong battle at the moment. The ball going everywhere.
For a half back, it's there now. Looking for runners out
got
wide.
Numbers.
Good opportunity here for Tawa to cross the line. Looking for supporters. Painga, the hooker, gets involved once again. Looking to go out wide and incorporate the winger into the play. Taina Tunga, who was almost in for the try earlier, with some good enterprising play. But Tawa still hot on attack. Just 5 metres out from the try line. Getting met by a wall of Hutt Old Boys Marist tacklers as Ulinga Arseni set sail for the try line.
And he's knocked it on, but they're coming back for the penalty advantage.
Earlier infringement. So what are they going to do? Quick tap.
They're going wide. Numbers out here. Can they hold on to it?
Try for Tawa. The right winger, Floyd Nawakatabu, goes in for the try. And it may have taken 29 and a half minutes, but Tawa finally have points on the board. Hutt Old Boys Marist leading by 20 points to 5. Almost 30 minutes played. And that's good reward, Ethan,
for
some good play in the last 5 minutes by Tawa.
Nawakatabu finishing it off, but Tawa putting Hutt Old Boys Marist under pressure, and more importantly, holding on to the ball and building pressure through possession. And we don't see this too often, a blindside flanker taking a conversion, but nonetheless, it's just reward for Tawa. They deserved that. They got the penalty. They put pressure on with the kick chase, and they managed to get a turnover a couple of times.
That was some good play by Randall Painga. He had a couple of little sniping darts at the try line, and the forwards were keen to get their hands on the ball again, but he saw Daniel Baker, first 5, screaming for the ball, and he found Nawakatabu out wide.
There's the conversion, just swings to the right. Ollie Mickey was right there, watching it like a hawk. They would have loved that 2 points, but more importantly, Tawa on the scoreboard.
It's unlucky there, in fact, Ethan. Certainly timed it well, and the radar was just slightly askew. And you're right, you don't often see a forward, let alone a goal kicker with a number 6 on the back. One that springs to mind would probably be John Ellis wearing the number 4.
Yeah,
of course,
a little bit before my time.
The Australian captain. Maybe I'm showing my age as well. That's right, Huddy remembers, so I'm getting a smile behind me.
That's all right, my dad was at that game actually, still talks about it.
And I'm never going to forget when we played Australia at Westpac Stadium at the first ever test match, and John Ellis kicked the penalty kick in the last play of the game.
Yep.
Let's move on.
As Hutt Old Boys Marist kicked off, and it was knocked on by Tawa. So probably not what they wanted just after scoring.
Yeah, just after getting themselves
Yep.
back into this match, getting their energy levels back up there as well. 20 points to 5, only 32 minutes played in the John E. Kelly Colts Division 1 final. Listeners, or should I say viewers, Hutt Old Boys Marist have had an unbeaten season to date, 14 from 14. Whereas Tawa, well, from there, 15 matches they've played, they're 10 and 5, and that scrum was made to look easy by Hutt Old Boys Marist, so they now feed their back line, looking for the right winger, standing out there. Pahi Mateo, who's made good metres, and we're playing under advantage, about 10 metres out from the Tawa try line. Hutt Old Boys Marist have numbers out wide.
They go back for the penalty, but the wind on that occasion, just grabbing that pass, and I suppose both teams are going to have to be quite careful throwing the ball long as this game progresses, because this wind is clearly getting stronger and stronger as the game goes on.
Just looking at some of the trees around the venues there, those Phoenix palms are certainly rustling around there out by the car park.
Yep, don't get me started on Phoenix palms.
And
It's tricky as an arborist to...
they should be an endangered species. We should just get rid of them.
we should. They are expensive to get rid of, unfortunately.
And I can see...
Please don't plant Phoenix
palms. I can
palms.
see pigeons roosting from here as well, but I'll let it go. Being an arborist, you know what that's all about.
Yep. Love the Bahutakawas, though.
Oh,
they look fantastic.
Love the natives.
Yep.
As charge from Hutt Old Boys Marist. So almost 4 metres out from the try line, looking for their 4th try this afternoon.
Short.
Keeping it in the forwards. That's good defence by Tawa. They're going to have to stand firm and be staunch here. Hutt Old Boys Marist have numbers around the ball. And another quick tap by halfback Trent Brown, looking for his runners.
Going to need to be careful here, Tawa.
Looks as though they're over the try line. They may be held up.
Ethan Jefferson
he's down on one knee.
He might be having a chat to his assistant here.
Having a chat to Quinton Renner. No, they're not looking confident, Hutt Old Boys Marist. They're not running back at all.
No, but they have the penalty anyway. I think that may have been for offside. Tawa going to have to be really careful here, otherwise they may end up losing a player to the sin bin.
He's reaching to the pocket.
Yep, and the first yellow card of the day. Tawa just being ill-disciplined there. I think that's their left winger.
Yes.
Hard to see on that side of the field.
Yeah, I think that is Taina Tuga has been sent to the bin for 10 minutes, so it's just got a little bit harder for Tawa, down 20 points to 5 and now down by a man. Only 14 on the field. Hutt Old Boys Marist hot on attack here, just
tackled short. They've got a release. And they're still going for the pick and goes here. Sure, they'll be wanting to get it out to Rona, who would love a hat-trick before half-time, as it is somewhere in there.
Brown's found it. He's dug it out now. It's coming out to the back line. Junior Polo net and some strong tackling by the midfield of Tawa there.
Push them back 5 metres.
Afama Sanga. Well, that's a good run. Head down straight into the defensive line. Hutt Old Boys Marist, they've been physical this afternoon.
Oh, wonderful.
Well, that was class and that was skill.
It sure was. Helped by the fact that Tawa were down a player on the wing, but...
Yeah, he was unmarked out wide. The 4th try this afternoon for Hutt Old Boys Marist, made to look easy with the crossfield kick. 25 points to 5. 4 minutes out from half-time.
A wonderful bit of skill.
We'll be able to get a try scorer for you shortly. We just need the leaping, jumping try scorer to turn around for us. But what a try. Certainly unmarked out wide after Taina Tuunga had been just sent to the sin bin. And Hutt Old Boys Marist made use of the one-man overlap out wide. A perfect kick from first 5 Junior Lileseo.
19-5 the score there.
Found right winger, number 14, Pahi Mateo, unmarked for the try. His first try this afternoon. 4th for Hutt Old Boys Marist, and with the conversion attempt, just held up in the breeze.
And we've just heard by the ground announcer here that Oriental Rongotai are leading the Upper Hutt Rams in the Division 2 Vic Kelson-I Cup final, 19 points to 5 as that game approaches half-time too.
And of course, we would be getting a score because it's Mason who's our ground announcer, firmly ensconced in the Oriental Rongotai Club. Nice. Nice to have.
No bias there, is there? Sure he'll be happy about that.
And from the restart, 25 points to 5, Hutt Old Boys Marist leading, just a couple of minutes to be played here in the first half. And just like that, we're back into the territory of Tawa, but they've decided to keep it ball in hand. Samanoa Iuta, and he returns it with interest as well, back up to the 10-metre line in Hutt Old Boys Marist territory. And just as they go out wide to the right channel, they've been met by a wall of defence, Hutt Old Boys Marist. But Randall Painga, he's been easily the pick of the Tawa players this afternoon, the halfback.
It's been turned over.
But just as I said that, the commentator's curse. It is now back in the hands of Sam Morgan, the earlier try scorer for Hutt Old Boys Marist, taking it back to halfway, but he's now knocked the ball on. And the players will be able to get a bit of a well-earned breather and rest. I see quite a few hands on hips for the Tawa forwards. They'll certainly be feeling it.
Yep, their subs are going to have a big job ahead of them in the second half.
They'll be looking forward to that break in 90 seconds time as well, to rejuvenate, reset,
regroup
for the second half.
Because they, like you say, they looked good in phases. Just can't quite hang on to that ball for long enough. And they've shown when they do, wow, they really stretch that Hutt Old Boys Marist defence.
Yeah, the difference for me in the first half has been Hutt Old Boys Marist are able to make space and time.
Yep.
Through being clinical, and it's almost they are shutting down the space and time for Tawa, who are looking rushed. But from the back of the scrum, the ball is still with Tawa as they've found it into lock. Alaleo Fa'aita, who takes play now up towards the 22. A nice little chip kick put through. Ooh, just gone over the sideline.
Yeah, the bounce of the ball can do funny things.
Yeah, that would have been interesting there for Tawa.
I think it probably helps with the camber of this field. The field just sort of slightly drops off in that corner.
Yeah, it does.
So that wouldn't have helped, but that was a good option by Tawa.
A bit like Rugby League Park or maybe Lord's Cricket Ground. It just sort of falls away towards the boundary.
Lucky enough to go to Lord's. Wonderful place to go if you're a cricket sporting fan, as Hutt Old Boys Marist.
Oh, it's the home of cricket.
It is.
As the ball is now back with Hutt Old Boys Marist, and a clearing kick from the dead ball line, but held up in the breeze.
Nawakatabu.
Tawa back on attack. The try scorer for Tawa, Nawakatabu, as the ball is back out with Fa'aita as he looks to steady things now on the 22. Daniel Baker looking for his runners.
Oh,
this was
got the penalty.
They'll come back for playing under advantage. Almost time up here in the first half, so Tawa, if they could get on the score sheet.
Another sternum tackle. They'll really want another 5-pointer here, just for that psychological benefit going into half-time.
Just to eat into this 20-point lead that Hutt Old Boys Marist have.
And looks like they're going for a quick tap, which is good to see.
Of course, Tawa are down to 14 players with the right winger currently in the bin. Another 6 minutes he has as well for time, but the ball's still with Tawa, and it's found its way into Jared Fermanus' hands. They're like 15 metres out in front of the post here. Tawa struggling to get the ball down to ground, but Daniel Baker goes in to play
shows and goes.
halfback, and nice little bit of play. Daniel Baker back into halfback again, and he decides to pick it up and charge towards the line, and he scored.
Wow, Tawa with a player down. We've said it earlier, when they hang on to the ball for long periods, they look dangerous, and they will take the psychological advantage going into half-time, having just scored, and they've got themselves to double digits now with the opportunity to add 2 more. And, well, Hutt Old Boys Marist have made the most of their chances, but this game's far from over.
Yeah, Daniel Baker, he went in there to play halfback, decided to feed the back line at his first attempt. He went back in again, dug the ball out, and decided to set sail for the try line. He doesn't fit the mould of most first fives. He's almost like an extra loose forward as well. He certainly has size and bulk behind him. And now Tawa will have the final say in the first half. So we're almost 42 minutes played. A little bit of additional time. 25 points to 10. The second try this afternoon for Tawa. Go with 3 tries for Hutt Old Boys Marist, and a successful conversion as well by Tisimeta Afamasanga. So as you've just alluded to, Ethan, that psychological edge and boost certainly will lift your energy levels, and they will go into half-time. They may have the psychological boost that they needed, but Hutt Old Boys Marist will take a 25 points to 12 lead into the half-time break here in the John E. Kelly Colts Division 1 final at Jerry Collins Stadium. Welcome back here to Jerry Collins Stadium as both teams just resetting themselves, going through their, I guess, final tactics for the start of the second half. Hutt Old Boys Marist with a 25 points to 12 lead in the John E. Kelly Colts Division 1 final. 4 tries in the first half to Hutt Old Boys Marist. A double to left winger Phelan Rona, who showed us his blistering speed. And a try also to Sam Morgan and Pahi Mateo, along with a penalty and a successful conversion as well for Hutt Old Boys Marist, while Tawa, 2 tries. First try to Floyd, now Wakatabu, along with Daniel Baker, and a successful conversion to midfield back Tesemeta Afamasaga, who closed the gap up just prior to half-time. The second half, Ethan, underway.
Sure is, as it's a long kick-off, and it's going to go into the in-goal. And if Tawa... So, I actually think that should be a 22 because he didn't drop it. They're going to come back for the scrum, I think. I think by law you have to put that ball down straight away, and Tawa looked like they delayed it slightly. Yep. Call come through from Ollie Mickey. Yeah. So, yep, it will be a dropout.
There you go.
At least I think I know something sometimes.
Well, that's what you would have called if you had the P.
Yep. Call coming through by Ollie Mickey there, so well spotted. We talked earlier about Tawa having that psychological advantage. Well, Hutt Old Boys Marist now have a very strong breeze behind them.
Got it. And they've used that to their advantage immediately.
They have.
We just spoke about tactics.
It'll be interesting to see where this dropout goes, and it's not a very long one as it goes down to Sam Morgan.
So straight on attack, Hutt Old Boys Marist making inroads into the 22 with Levi Morgan now back out to the double try scorer, Philan Arona, but he was taken in a good tackle. Of course, Tawa still down to 14 as well. About another 4 minutes left in the bin for Taina Tuanga. So they'll be looking to make inroads with the advantage of the extra player. And
they've lost it.
They've lost that out wide, yes. Poached by Tawa as they move away from their try line. Decide to keep it in hand, though, of course, playing into a strong breeze as they bring it out 10 metres out from their line. Daniel Baker with the ball with the show and go, and decides to put his head down, and he's taken play up 10 metres. That's a good charge by Daniel Baker, but they haven't been able to control it. It's straight back to the hands of Hutt Old Boys Marist. As Israel Timaz takes it over the 22-metre line, the prop wearing the number 1 on his back for Hutt Old Boys Marist, and they are straight back onto attack. They're a clinical team as Junior Paolo gets the ball, but...
And looks like a side entry by one of the Hutt Old Boys Marist forwards.
Ethan Jefferson, ever vigilant. May have got a call there from Ollie Mickey?
Yep.
Is that right? Yes.
I think so. I've known him that long now, it's a bit too embarrassing to ask how it's pronounced. I'm pretty sure it's Mickey, though.
I wasn't trying to take it either.
He's been called worse, I'm sure.
Well, look at that touch finder. Ollie Mickey, as we just alluded to, who was down on the 10-metre line, expecting to put his flag up, has just almost run back to the 22.
Yep, it's going to be a real challenge as
showing the strength of that breeze.
The yellow-carded player comes back on. He's just going to be reminded by Ethan Jefferson that if he gets another yellow, it's going to be a red card. So, all-important discipline as Tawa restored to a full 15.
Yep. Well, it's not a psychological boost. It will certainly boost them. Now, and that defensive line, as they have the ball from the line out, Daniel Baker finds his runners. Afamasaga takes it into the tackle and sets play up just on the 22 for Tawa. Good play here, some good byplay here. Making some time and space. We just touched on that earlier. Certainly what they were lacking, and the bounce of the ball didn't quite fall into Randall Painga's hands. Well, that would have been interesting.
Yeah, sure would have been.
But Hutt Old Boys Marist now with a relieving kick and a relieving penalty.
So it was a penalty for a high tackle. Just a little bit eager there. And the kick chase were Tawa. And, well, the bounce of the ball not quite going their way, but they still managed to exploit some space down the left wing side. And that all came from the benefit of having a player come back onto the field as one too many rugby balls find their way onto the field, as they normally do when we've lost one.
Yeah, that was good play. That was the best backline move from Tawa in this match.
It was a simple move.
And I would say that there was definitely some comments from the management staff in there at half-time.
Well, they've looked dangerous out wide, and that's where their strengths have been thus far, and that's where they really need to get that ball.
It's those double runners that come that run around, and what they do is draw the defenders, and Daniel Baker took the opportunity with the gap. But it's back with Hutt Old Boys Marist now. Once again on attack with Sam Morgan. Finds the midfield of Brody Titivano, who sets play up.
And Tawa get the turnover.
Tawa. Their hands back on the ball.
Just a little bit slow in the clean out with Hutt Old Boys Marist. And Tawa really putting themselves back into this game. They're not quite down the right end of the field, but they're doing all the right things so far. As that's a decent touch finder.
It's similar to the start of the back in the first half, where Ethan Jefferson certainly blowing the pea out of his whistle in terms of penalties. I guess that rush of blood, that extra energy, and after they've just had a bit of a half-time break, and of course this is the final 40 minutes of the season for both teams, everything to play for. It's that excited energy is from the line-out. Hutt Old Boys and Marist have the ball.
That's a high tackle again.
That's another high shot.
Tawa going to have to be really careful now. That's a few times already in this second half.
Yeah, Neil Tolata, the hooker for Hutt Old Boys. Marist has taken a high shot there, but they're now hot on attack as the ball is out with Tyrell Tuia charging down the sideline like a winger on the 22 now. Hutt Old Boys Marist with the ball, leading 25 points to 12. 5 minutes played in the second half. Still in the midfield as the fullback Dom Ernest joins the fray, and he takes it now, making further inroads into the 22 of Tawa. They've got numbers out wide here. They're lining up for the ball. Double try scorer. Arona has the ball, and he's almost thrown into the touchline.
In fact, he is. Ollie Mickey's flag is up as time is off, and a substitution being made. Two of them by Hutt Old Boys Marist.
No, Hutt Old Boys Marist ringing the changes. Looks as though a couple of changes in the front row. That's Tyrell Tuia. His afternoon is over. Looks as though Andy Soanai has made his way on the field. Fresh legs and fresh energy for Hutt Old Boys Marist, as Tawa have a defensive line out, 7 metres out from their line.
And balking again. Well, Tawa not helping themselves. The hooker has to, as soon as he pulls that ball back, he's got to throw it in one action. And he was delaying the throw there. You're not allowed to do that. Well spotted by the referee in the AR. Hutt Old Boys Marist set a scrum. 15, out 15, just 5 metres short of the line. Their best attacking opportunity. Can they make the most of this?
Yeah, well, it's 7.5 minutes played in the second half. 25 points to 12. Hutt Old Boys Marist had the lead at half-time. Yet to have any points in the second half, and it's really been only one team in it as Junior Polo takes on that defensive line, but he's met in some strong tackling.
They earned the turnover, Tawa. Strong defence.
Junior Polo, who actually turned out for the premier side of Hutt Old Boys Marist this year and scored a brace in the McBain Shield clash against Petone, but Tawa with the ball now, looking to turn it into attack, and it looks as though they would have knocked it on, but it fortuitously fallen into the hands, but holding on, not releasing is the call. Ethan Jefferson.
Yep, and a little hand in that ruck too.
Certainly working out that whistle.
Yep, both teams just guilty of little ruck infringements. And of course it's probably exacerbated by the fact that they're tapping quick and going, and perhaps their support play isn't as great when they're doing that because they're leaving players isolated. As Hutt Old Boys Marist have a 5 metre attacking line out, they can take the throw cleanly. They'll be a real danger here. And it wasn't straight.
Yeah, the line-outs have been an issue today, haven't they?
They have.
Certainly not easy when the wind does get up. It's almost gusting here as well, the breeze, as it's certainly picked up in intensity from our first round of matches that kicked off at 11 a.m. Of course, the feature match this afternoon will be the Jubilee Cup final, taking place at 3:15 p.m. on this field, Jerry Collins Stadium. Old Boys University looking to do the double after tucking the Swindale Shield safely away several weeks back. Now looking for the Jubilee Cup, while Tawa are on a 9-match winning streak. And I'll have something to say about that as the Tawa Colts team now have the ball. 15 metres out from their try line.
I think they've turned it over.
It looks as though Hutt Old Boys Marist have turned it over. struggling to retain possession, Tawa, and continuity of phases. And it looks as though I've seen the Kaitaki Levi Morgan point towards the posts.
Perhaps just wanting to slow things down a little bit.
There'll be a kicking team making its way up. Points on the board, Ethan. It's finals footy.
Very important. We saw that was the difference in the Hardham Cup final. Tyler Tane of Wainuiomata kicking an absolute belter of 55 metres. And, well, that proved to be the difference in the end for them. So, Hutt Old Boys Marist looking to add 3 more, turning pressure into points as the ball slides off the tee. We're allowed 60 seconds for a penalty kick at goal. Ethan Jefferson just reminding. Oh, no, it's gone wide. So, a missed opportunity.
Yeah, he sort of rushed it there, didn't he? You could see that he didn't even set himself once he'd quickly placed it. He was waiting for the runners to come charging down at him.
And perhaps they might look to utilise a teammate to stabilise that ball on the tee going forward.
Breeze has definitely picked up in intensity. It's going to be interesting in our feature match. 25 points to 12. Right. Yet to have any points scored here in the second half. Hutt Old Boys Marist, though, certainly dominant in the second half.
Tawa holding them out well.
Going for the long kick option, down to Sam Morgan once again. To Levi Morgan, who frees up Dom Ernest, who slices through the defence. Wow. Puts on the afterburners, Ethan. TRY.
That is a brilliant individual try. And, well, Hutt Old Boys Marist, they missed the 3, but they get the 5 and possibly 7.
Yep, if you continue to give Dom Ernest and Thielen Arona time and space, they're going to turn it into points. Dom Ernest in the first half had a sublime run that set up the try for Sam Morgan.
Yep.
And that time he went in untouched next to the post for a try for himself. As I mentioned earlier, Dom Ernest, a product of St Bernard's, in fact played 3 years for the first 15. He was also a New Zealand under-18 touch representative and toured Australia last year.
Well, it's showing today.
And you can see why, with blistering speed, vision and pace. He's certainly a find for the future.
Sure is.
Listen out to that name, listeners. He's also of Chilean descent, so we'll try and keep him in Whitu Poro in terms of rugby, and we won't lose him to the round ball code.
No, surely not, as Ollie Mickey shows off his squatting skills.
A successful conversion attempt. I'm almost in front of the post there for Junior Lalesio.
No problems missing that time.
It's a third successful kick of the afternoon, 2 conversions and a penalty. And that's the 5th try for Hutt Old Boys Marist this afternoon. Now out to a 32 points to 12 lead. Have we got 13 minutes played in the second half. So time still on the clock for Tawa, but they've really got to get into the groove and they've got to get their hand on the ball.
They're making a good contest of this so far.
As Trent Brown once again takes play back into the territory of Tawa, and it's a real tactic, just using that strong breeze.
Nearly intercepted.
Ooh, Junior. No, but it looks as though that was number 19, Andy Sawnai.
Phelan Rona just making a mess of that as well. Been everywhere so far today, and Tawa will get the scrum feed.
Looks as though he's just cramping up out there. Looks as though he quickly fired. He may have been looking to get rid of the ball as he felt a bit of a tinge there as he's just stretching things out. That would have been interesting if it had fallen into the hands of Andy Sawnai.
Yeah, it would have.
Certainly got size and bulk with the number 19 on his back. He would have been a handful for the winger out there if he was able to grasp the ball. 32 points to 12. Hutt Old Boys Marist leading, just 7 points scored in the second half, but a dominant second half performance it has been by Hutt Old Boys Marist. Still bathed in sunshine here at Jerry Collins Stadium. The shadow starting to lengthen out over the field as the breeze is starting to pick up in intensity. To make it interesting for our feature match as well, as it looks as though Tawa, a free kick for Hutt Old Boys Marist, and a quick tap for Levi Morgan as he heads up towards the 22 with the Hutt Old Boys Marist forward pack driving in behind him. But Tawa have pinched it.
And have the advantage as well.
And they'll get the relief of a penalty here just outside their 22. They've really been camped in their own half. In fact, more around their own 22 in this second half.
And another penalty, not 10. Discipline letting Hutt Old Boys Marist down. Can't take the second one quickly, much to the frustration of everyone, but that's what the law book says. And they're going to go for a scrum here, Tawa. It's not a bad option. Suck the forwards in.
Yep,
and
provide a bit of space.
Try and buy their time a little bit to get the ball out to their very explosive wingers.
Yeah, Daniel Baker at first 5, he's looked good with ball in hand when he's decided to show and go and I guess take on that defensive line.
He's broken that defence a couple of times as well.
He has.
Which has been vital.
He has, and he's Tisimata Afama-Sanga just outside of him in the midfield, who has Sean Wilson as well. They've been a good combination in the midfield when they've had ball. It's just been few and far between for the back line of Tawa. We're waiting for Ethan Jefferson as he's just laying down the law to both sets of front rows.
Of course, new front rows on, so just taking time, taking a little bit of stock just to let them adjust.
There's Randall Painga. He's been a real standout today for Tawa. Has the ball and feeds the scrum, and it's now back with Daniel Baker, as we said. Runs it towards that line, draws the defenders.
Oh, unlucky.
And Wilson, he just called out. They've been a good combination this afternoon when they've had...
That was a really good option there. Afama-Sanga creating the double round in the loop, creating space on the outside. Unfortunately, just accuracy lacking on that occasion as Hutt Old Boys Marist make another substitution. Number 5, Hugh Bloomfield-Ryan's day is finished. And we'll find out who has replaced him.
He's been solid as well. He's been a good performer.
Iggy Seo comes on for him.
Hugh Bloomfield-Ryan, he's been a good performer today.
Stolen by Tawa.
Nice play by Tawa. Ulangai Arseni once again gets involved, but he's just put a foot in touch as he tried to keep the ball alive.
And Ethan Jefferson hasn't heard. The flag was up.
Yep, we got the call from...
Slight delay in the comms there.
Assistant referee, Quinton Renner.
The right call's been made, and Ethan Jefferson.
That might have been those fans from Tawa that might have been trying to deafen out the call. Yep. They saw an opportunity there.
Possibly.
It's finals footy, Ethan. You got to do what you can to get your team across the line.
The right decision was made.
But Andy Sawanai now has the ball for Hutt Old Boys Marist. Throws into the line out.
Oh, unlucky.
Was unlucky there, Ethan. He almost took it again. Alaloi Fa'aita. After he snatched one earlier against the throw.
Yep.
His timing has jumped to perfection, but he just couldn't grasp it.
He sure is. As both teams say hello to each other. But Tawa proving strong at the line out. Hutt Old Boys Marist opting to throw to the back on 2 occasions.
Oh, gotcha.
And it wasn't quite working for them on that occasion.
So almost 14 minutes played in the second half. And a defensive scrum here, well fed by the halfback for Hutt Old Boys Marist, Trent Brown Jr. Paula, what a pass, fires it out to an unmarked Rona out wide. He's going for his hat-trick. He puts the afterburners on. He reaches out and scores, Ethan.
Wow, that deserves a round of applause. That was a sensational try. It was unlucky. Tawa knocked it onto the line out and they forced the scrum. But yet again, Dom Ernest and Phelan Rona linking up and scoring a wonderful 60-odd metre try.
That was exuberance and youth right there.
That was fantastic, and a fantastic example of Colts rugby. And Hutt Old Boys Marist are really looking to put this game to bed now. They've probably got one hand on the Johnny Kelly trophy.
Yeah, when it all clicks and your timing is perfected as it was then, that looked classy.
It did, but there was nothing overly complicated about it. The ball's out in front, they're running with pace, they're running onto it, and your speedsters out wide are doing the finishing work.
I didn't quite catch in the middle there. Was that Junior Polar? That was a fantastic.
I think it might have been,
that was a fantastic flat ball, as you said, though.
And
it's just catch and pass. It sounds so easy, this game.
With the wind, that is really skillful, and it should be applauded, that sort of thing, because the wind has taken this ball in varying directions for both teams.
Yeah, that's skill.
Yeah, that's real
to throw a flat pass like a bullet, while you're also running and hitting it at speed as well. That's skill level, and that is why Junior Paolo has found himself in the Premier squad throughout this season as well. Very evident. As the 6th try this afternoon for Hutt Old Boys Marist. 37 points to 12 after leading 25 points to 12 at half-time. So a 25-point lead. This is starting to become a mountain to climb for Tawa. Of course, Hutt Old Boys Marist unbeaten this year. They've played 14, won 14. It's been a comprehensive season for them. They already have won the Paris Memorial Trophy, and they're looking to do the double with the John E. Kelly. They now have the ball.
And a big up and under. The wind taking that an extra few metres, and it's a good contest.
Tawa have it with Randall Painga now on their halfway line. They've really been camped in their own half in this second half. It's been a dominant second half performance by Hutt Old Boys Marist. There's only really been one team in it, but Tawa will get the relief of a penalty here.
Or a side entry infringement.
10 metres inside Hutt Old Boys Marist territory.
And a quick tap here. They needed to do that, Tawa, and they look to go wide again.
As Tawa have the ball and it opens up. This is the first attacking opportunity for quite some time for Tawa now. Has gone into play fullback and have found the prop. Number 1, Ulingi Arseni. He's certainly not shy of picking the ball up and heading forward. Daniel Baker feeds his back line, and well, just as I was about to say, they had numbers opening up.
Yep, just a knock-on only. That was in the tackle, as alluded to by Ethan Jefferson. I thought that may have been a deliberate knock-on, but I think probably the right call made.
And Waka Tabu, if he was able to hold on to the ball, had...
As there's serious injury by the looks of things in back plate.
Taina Tunga out wide, unmarked, but it looks as though that may have been Joseph Ulungi Arseni, the number 1. Yeah, he's been ruthless with the ball today and put his body on the line.
Yeah.
And he was hit.
He didn't look too flash.
No, he was met by a couple of strong tacklers.
The medics might look to take him off here as Ethan Jefferson gives him a quick assessment. But Tawa looking dangerous when they got the ball out wide yet again. I think they just need to keep sticking to that plan, I think.
Yeah, when Daniel Baker's running with that ball, he runs the angle, doesn't he? And he just seems to be siving through, and what he's doing is drawing 2 defenders and creating space and time for Afamasanga and Wilson, that midfield pairing. And then it's just the transfer out to the wingers with just falling down. So a opportunity here with the scrum. Randall Painga with the ball. Tawa with possession midway between the 10 metre and 22 in Hutt Old Boys Marist territory.
And a free kick. Just getting a little early push there, and Tawa won't mind that as they quickly tap.
They're up to the 22 metre line. Painga, the halfback, digging out the ball, but it's been picked up with a pick and go. And making good inroads now deep into the 22, and Ulinga Arseni once again takes the ball in hand and tucks it under his arm. Painga, the halfback, is scragged and caught. They've lost a couple of metres here, but they're still retaining possession.
Another penalty.
Another strong tackle, but offside play.
We'll need to be careful here, Hutt Old Boys Marist.
Too keen, as Ulingi Arseni has another charge at the defenders. He's 2 metres out from the try line.
He's got numbers here.
Manfred Sofara flying at the try line, the blindside flanker. And it looks as though he may have scored, or did he knock the ball on? Just waiting to get the call from Ethan Jefferson.
Might just have a quiet chat with his assistant.
Referee.
If no tries been... Were they playing advantage?
Certainly getting plenty of advice from the Hutt Old Boys Marist players.
Oh, nothing new.
Spoken like a true referee.
As always, there's the referee plus 30 more around him.
And that's not even including the sideline or the supporters, Ethan.
No, it looks like it might be a try. Yep.
It is. It is a try.
Well, Tawa have proven strong when they've got the ball out wide, but on that occasion,
Well, Manfred Sulfara, he just came flying, and he actually leaped off his feet, didn't he?
He sure did.
He was determined to get across that try line, no matter how he got there.
Yeah, well, and needed to happen.
He did,
Tawa,
and that's the third try for Tawa
They've looked quite good in the last sort of 5 or so minutes. Can't help but thinking they may have left their run just a little bit late, but they're certainly still in this game, and they're not making it easy for the Hutt Old Boys Marist Colts here.
We're midway in the second half. So just 19 and a half minutes remaining in this match. 37 points to 17. Tawa have closed that gap up slightly as Afama Sanga sets himself for the conversion. And they need all the points that are on offer if they want to climb back up this mountain. 20-point lead for Hutt Old Boys Marist.
It's good.
Well, the climb has started. A successful conversion there for Tisimete Afama Sanga for Tawa.
Of course, we go back now to the all-important kick-off. Strong win behind this Hutt Old Boys Marist team. And they're going to have to be quite careful that this ball doesn't go dead or out on the full. I would think short and high here would probably be the best bet. Hutt Old Boys Marist don't want any unforced errors at this stage, and it is long, but it's short enough.
Taken down by Baker. As Tawa set sail once again back over there, 22. Presenting good ball. Nice, good, quick, clean ball as it's back out to the try scorer. Sulfara as he sets sail as well. Daniel Baker in at half-back, little show and go, goes to ground. Still making good yards and holding on to possession here, Tawa. Got a little loose there, met in a strong tackle. He's up off the ground, but he's managed to get back down and presented the ball for Painga. He's looking for his next set of runners. Tawa, good continuity. They're not making much in terms of yardages. Sean Wilson puts a good crossfield kick in as it sits up nicely for Dom Ernest, who returns the
on
favour.
No, bounce of the ball not quite going their way, but...
Well, awkward for Daniel Baker, who's let it roll into the in goal.
It'll be a goal line dropout.
Tawa have a player down here. It looks as though...
Looks to be in quite a bit of discomfort.
Nedu
1 or 7. Yeah,
blind side,
the
open side flanker, Nedu Sheck.
Bit of cramp. Good to see that Hutt Old Boys Marist opposition coming to his aid. Nice bit of sportsmanship.
Yeah, bit of camaraderie, isn't that good to see?
It is.
On the sporting field, while it might be a battle, we're all in this together.
Yep. As we see Old Boys University and Tawa Premier teams warming up in the background. Exciting game that's going to be.
Absolutely. Old Boys University, yes, looking to go for the double.
Yep. Of course, they were the last team to do it.
They were back in 2017, Ethan. Nice, you're on the money. And Tawa, wow, they will be looking for their 4th Jubilee Cup.
Yep, these two teams have a proud history in recent Jubilee Cups.
And of course, we can't lose sight that 3 weeks back in round 1 of the Jubilee Cup at Rugby League Park, Old Boys University, hot from their Swindale Shield victory, 95 points to 0 over Norths, were tipped up at home, 31 points to 30 by Tawa. Tawa on a 9-game winning streak currently. But what a match we're going to have in our final.
It's a good take by Morgan as the game's restarted.
Hutt Old Boys Marist straight back on attack inside the 22. The balls of Andy Soanai as he's heading towards the posts. Israel Timeh has the same attitude. Another charge as it's back out to the first 5. The back line now hitting it. Dom Ernest out to Arona, looking for his 4th try in the corner.
Just short.
Good tackle They haven't been able to take him over the sideline. The ball is still there for Hutt Old Boys Marist. It's back with first 5. But there'll be a penalty, an infringement, a quick tap. Tawa hardly a chance to set their defensive line, and they're back into another wall of attackers. They set themselves on their try line as Hutt Old Boys Marist have another go.
Try.
Ethan Jefferson down on one knee, peering into the deep bowels of that breakdown, and it is a try for Hutt Old Boys Marist. That's the 7th try this afternoon, and just when Tawa looked like they may have been getting back into this match, Ethan, Hutt Old Boys Marist just pull away once again. 37 points to 19.
That's what they've done so well throughout the season and why they are undefeated.
They've just got firepower everywhere, haven't they?
When they give you a sniff, well, they know they're going to come back just as hard as another substitution is made. Pahi Mateo is going off, as well as Junior Paolo.
42 points to 19. 14.5 minutes remaining in the John E. Kelly Colts final. The Division 1 Colts final. The Division 2 Colts final was won earlier today by Northern United over Parramatta Plimerton. The Hardham Cup final, well, that'll be safely tucked away over the hill in Wainui-o-Mata after they took out a tight battle with Parramatta Plimerton. And that is a successful conversion for first 5 junior Laleseal. 44 points to 19.
And it looks like a couple of trophies will be heading back to the Hutt Valley this year. Wonderful to see a good spread of clubs receiving awards, as it looks like the Division 2 Colts final is finished. We will aim to get your scoreline when we can. Hard to tell who won that out of, I know Orient or Rongotai were leading at half-time.
Well, our ground announcer here is Mason, of course, who was from Orient or Rongotai Club, so I'm sure very shortly, if Ori's won, we are going to hear that blasting in our eardrums as that from the restart. Hutt Old Boys Marist have taken it down once again, looking to set play up just on their 10-metre line. A little show and go, and decides to kick this time. First 5.
It might be a 50-22 here.
It will be a 50-22. And he's happy with his work as well.
Oh, I bet he
so
is.
are the rest of the boys as they all come over to give him a tap on the head and a slap on the back.
Of course, we saw a wonderful 50-22 on Wednesday. St. Pat's Town versus Silverstream at Evans Bay led to a wonderful try, and it's one of the new laws that was brought in a couple of years ago, and there was a lot of talk and conjecture about it, but when we see moments like this, you think actually it's pretty exciting and it gets the crowd involved.
Absolutely.
And now Hutt Old Boys Marist with a real attacking opportunity as Tawa just
you get rewarded for skill, Ethan.
Yep, I think that's important.
I think it's very important.
Tawa were just making some subs, so referee Jefferson wanted to make sure that everyone was on and where they needed to be.
They were still bathed in sunshine here at Jerry Collins Stadium on the far side of the field. They're lapping it up, while here on the grandstand side, we're rugged up.
Tawa have won this line out against the throw.
Nice play from Manis with a little outside pass. Very Sonny Bill reminiscent. And still with Tawa, although Hutt Old Boys Marist are in there contesting for the ball, and it looks as though Tawa didn't have enough numbers at the breakdown. It's now back with Hutt Old Boys Marist. Ants Fale has the ball, and he looks to break the first tackle. Takes 2 tacklers with him. Everyone's getting onto the field now, so they should clear the bench. What a season Hutt Old Boys Marist have had. An unbeaten season. Already have won the Paris Memorial Trophy. They're 14-0 this year. Looking to do the double as the ball is now back with Ariki Tongia as he's now inside the 22.
There's the Tawa players down here, and that's... the game goes on around him. Boys, and a cross kick to Rona. He's been dangerous all day. He's going for a fourth. Oh, he got the bounce.
Threading the needle.
Wow. Our 4th try for Phelan Rona.
Yeah, that was impressive.
That was another cross-field kick.
How many times have we said that was impressive when he scored a try this afternoon?
He scored some impressive ones. He scored in the first few minutes and he scored in the last 10.
Makes time and space, and there he uses his tactical nous, positional play.
Yep.
That was a great crossfield kick as well.
And,
great vision.
You could probably just about pick anyone in this Huddle Boys team for man of the match, but
That was like threading the eye of the needle.
Yeah.
He had two defenders there as the ball was coming across at him on an angle with a bit of a wobbly bounce. He managed to grab the ball, beat two defenders, and over for try number 4. The 8th try this afternoon for Hutt Old Boys Marist. 49 points to 19. Certainly showing why they are a class above the rest in this Colts division this season. Looking to go unbeaten, go 15-0. We have just over 10 minutes left in this match and of their season. And what a season it's been for them. Fairy tale stuff.
it sure has.
The conversion attempt from the sideline.
And
Wouldn't be surprised if he gets it.
no, I wouldn't be surprised either, but at least Hutt Old Boys Marist can just enjoy the last 6 minutes or so of their season. They've earned it.
They certainly have.
I suppose it's still not over till the final whistle, but as more subs are being made. Well, we shouldn't put Tawa down here. They've put up a great fight, and they were still in this game at half-time. And unfortunately, the change of direction and the clinically accurate Hutt Old Boys Marist have just been too strong for them.
And you're right. Half time, of course, Hutt Old Boys Marist went into the sheds with a 25 points to 12 lead. But it's been a real dominant performance in the second half by Hutt Old Boys Marist. It's the converted try to Tawa, while Hutt Old Boys Marist have piled on another 24 points, 49 points to 19. They're leading. And we're in to the final 9 minutes of this match. Playing under advantage, Tawa. A knock-on from the restart by Hutt Old Boys Marist.
That was a good contest at the kickoff, and Tawa putting them under pressure.
Remaining in this Johnny Kelly Cup final on the number 1 field. Colts First Division final between Hutt Old Boys Marist and Tawa. Hutt Old Boys Marist running rampant, 49-19. Looking to seal off a perfect season, undefeated.
Thanks, Mace.
The Eagles soaring.
And what happened on field 2?
That's what we're waiting for. So Randall Painga looks to feed the scrum straight in and straight back out in the hands of Neru Sheck for Tawa, as they now look to set themselves to their next attacking raid. Although they're not getting much purchase, the defence is staunch from Hutt Old Boys Marist. And met in another strong tackle as well. Gone to ground, the ball coming back slowly. The defensive line up flat. Tawa know this match is now gone. Playing for pride they are as the back line set deep. A loose pass, but they still have possession. Making their way up to the 22-metre line. As the ball comes back now to Christopher Said. He looks as though he might have had a little gap, but it was quickly shut down as he looks to dart around the fringes, and another little darting run as well, but a loose carry. But an earlier infringement, so there may have been a hand in there.
Yep. And Tawa taking it quickly. Got options out wide.
Randall Painga now looking to still feed his back line. They're still hungry to score. Tawa still setting sail for that try line. They're only couple of metres short. Held up in the air. It looks as though they're down to ground now, so the ball slowly coming back, although has it been knocked on? It has been. It looks as though, and quite catch who that was, but number 14, Noah Wakatabu is going for his second try. It looks as though he had an attempt at the try line, but has knocked the ball on in doing so. So a defensive scrum on the far side of the field. The Hutt Old Boys Marist, as the temperature on the grandstand side is certainly starting to drop here, Ethan.
Yeah.
Boo, the breeze has got a little, feels like the breeze has teeth on this side, although the playing field still bathed in sunshine, although the shadows are lengthening out.
They will be, and I wonder if that'll have an impact on the Jubilee Cup at 3:15. Join us on Huddy Sports.
Hutt Old Boys Marist now look to make their way out of there. 22. Back to versatile, reliable first five, Junior Lele Siuao, who's been absolutely solid today. Seen a full array of his skill set and a quick throw-in by Tawa.
And they've got options wide if they want to use them.
They can get the ball free. They had two players unmarked. It's still with Jared Fermanis.
Oh, and he's coming the side, that Hutt Old Boys player. Not picked up.
Ball's now with Hutt Old Boys Marist back to Dom Ernest, who wasn't expecting it.
A rare mistake by Ernest, but Tawa still have possession.
And they'll throw caution to the wind as well with numbers wide out on the 22. It looked as though it may have been a little knock on. Play on was the call from referee Ethan Jefferson up to the 22-metre line now. Tawa still looking to get across that try line. Teo Silva with the ball as he looks to just set play up front of the post on the 22. Got options both sides, but this defensive line of Hutt Old Boys Marist certainly standing tall as Afama Sanga manages to find, there hasn't been many opportunities for gaps and breaks, and he's managed to find one. Fermanis out wide, but the gap is shut down by the defense of a Levi Morgan and almost held him up in the air as well, but he's gone to ground. As the game has gone a little bit flat. The sting taken out of the game now. It's a bit of a foregone conclusion. Hutt Old Boys Marist with this 30-point lead. But Tawa still determined to get across that try line as Nawaka Tabu. He's been energetic all day long, and they're going to get a penalty as well. As we're into the final 4 minutes of this match.
I suspect they take a quick tap here, and they do. They go up the guts again. Tawa, that's how they scored their last try. And the backs look ready. They look like they want it.
Yeah, the back line is well set for the ball.
Yeah.
Hutt Old Boys Marist are really grouped around this breakdown right on the try line. So they want it to go wide. They've got the numbers and the space available, but Randall Payne are struggling.
And the penalty
to get
goes the other way.
Well, that sums up the afternoon, Ethan.
Yep. It's been all Hutt Old Boys Marist today, and Tawa perhaps just holding on to it for a phase or two too long. The backs had acres and acres of space, and they'd drawn the Hutt Old Boys Marist defenders in, and they chose not to go wide. And a good pressure relieving kick for Hutt Old Boys Marist.
Yep, they'll have to throw into the line out. Just under 3 minutes to play. It's going to be an undefeated season for the Eagles. It'll be 15 from 15, and they'll be doing the double as well. They already have the Paris Memorial Trophy secured this season. And they can include the John E. Kelly Division 1 Colts final. As we're waiting for Soanai throw into this line out. Just waiting for our referee, Ethan Jefferson. He's had a good match as well, Ethan.
He has, he's been tidy, and he's one for the future.
He's had good assistance as well by his ARs.
Yep.
Ollie Mickey and Quinton Arena.
I have a feeling Ethan Jefferson might be of Colts age as well, so Colts players, Colts referee, it's a nice mix.
Yeah. Like we said, it's not always just the players to look out for the future and a name for the future. And there's definitely one, Junior Lele Siuao.
That was carried back.
He's carried that back into, well, it was taken back, wasn't it? Yeah, passed back into the...
When you're 30 points up, I think you're allowed to make a couple of mistakes here and there. Sure they won't mind.
We've actually seen the full array of his repertoire and skill set today, including the 50-22.
We sure have.
You don't get to see one of them often.
No.
As it's all go here behind us, of course, after this match will be the feature match here this afternoon, the Jubilee Cup final. Hutt Old Boys, Old Boys University, rather, taking on Tawa. From the line out, it's a knock on by Hutt Old Boys Marist, secured by Tawa, but thrown over the sideline.
And there's time for a scrum.
Waka Tabu, just over a minute to play in this match. Just enough time for another scrum. And we'll probably see time eaten up on the clock. Well, maybe not. Tawa will have the ball. So maybe they'll look to have the final say in this match.
I'm sure they wouldn't mind. They had the final say of the first half, and I'm sure they'll be looking to do the same at the end of the second. It will be a Hutt Old Boys Marist victory, though, and a thoroughly deserved one, and it'll be, I'm sure, a good night for them tonight. And a good scrum by Hutt Old Boys Marist, and it squirts out on Tawa's side. And they've turned it over. And will Dom Ernst look to link up with Rona, and he does. And Tawa have the ball back.
It's going to be a penalty for Hutt Old Boys Marist. Maybe they'll get the final say in this match as on the ground clock time is up. And it's just been confirmed in the Premier 2, Division 2 final. The HD Morgan Cup, Oriental Rongotai have taken the spoils, beating up the Upper Hutt Rams. And that's the final whistle. Ethan? I think it was a little obvious, but they deserve to be jubilant. 49 points to 19, a comprehensive victory today. And, well, it's been par for the course for the season.
It has. They were able to boot it out in front of their own dugout. And these players will remember this for a long time. They've gone through undefeated, and they deserve their just reward. Tawa put up a good fight, but it wasn't to be today.
49 points to 19. Hutt Old Boys Marist too strong. 8 tries to 3. And they will not only tuck away the Paris Memorial Trophy, but it's the double for Hutt Old Boys Marist Colts. They'll have also secured the John E. Kelly Cup as well, and they will be the premier Colts side of 2024. As we look forward now to the feature match this afternoon, the Jubilee Cup final, due to kick off at 3:15 p.m. Old Boys University looking to do their own double. Of course, already have the Swindale Shield safely stowed away in the club rooms, but they'll have to get past Tawa, who are on a 9-game winning streak. What an encounter we're going to have. And we've got to look forward to one playing 2, fighting it out to be the #1 club in Wellington Club Rugby.
And the same clubs contesting the Jubilee Cup final at 3:15.